What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another weekly update. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe if you're looking for stock market analysis. And go ahead and drop down in the comments what you are looking at this week, because this week is going to be very interesting, in my opinion. Now, over the past week, we've had a lot of different stuff going on, particularly inflation has risen again. Something I have talked about over and over. Inflation just keeps coming back and showing its face. And we have a little bit of a scare, and then we pop right back to all-time highs. And so I don't expect anything different moving forward. Although this week we had Brainerd. She did interview the previous week. So that is a possibility. It's still, I don't think there's actually uh, any determination if it's going to be Brainerd or Powell still for chair spot. That is still up in the air. I think people are waiting till after the holidays to announce that. Because that I think can induce some volatility into the market, especially with all the inflation talk and everything else. We have to see how that goes. But ultimately, what we are seeing, especially today, Friday, I'm recording this on a Friday evening. The market is closed, and we had a massive push, particularly in Shop. Shop had a massive day. There was an article published essentially saying that Shop was a $1 trillion company, and before the article came out, it was valued at a $200 billion company. So Shop went absolutely just parabolic on Friday here. So that was absolutely absurd. Continuation, this is a strong possibility. Looking actually for retracement back here, essentially at that around that six. Let me get this down to a lower level here. You don't want it to break the 1650. Could see a retest of this and then go into price discovery mode. But there is still earnings to be had. And I think we are very much in a good spot. So yeah, there was a lot of pullback and scare because of inflation data. So a lot of your mid caps and a lot of other FANG stocks have been hit really bad, but a lot of them flipped today. Again, you had Facebook started getting some gas again. You had Apple trying to make a comeback. Microsoft has just been a beast. It's hardly been phased at all by any of this stuff and continues to run. Google's been very strong. Amazon very, very strong, and then Shop. But like I said, there is still a lot going on, and so this is kind of what I'm looking at this week. The only event we really have, there's nothing really that's popping up that I see other than on Wednesday with the Fed talking about stable coins. And this has been an ongoing discussion. I have to understand that the Fed is going to have a stable coin. They know the value of crypto, but to try to peg a stable coin is extremely hard in this particular environment. So they have been in a lot of discussion about it. They are just trying to get their foot in the door and essentially uncover everything and understand everything before they try to dive headfirst in this whole crypto space and the mass adoption that's been going on. So that event, I think, will trigger a lot of different other plays with your coin, your Riot, and MSTR. Those particular plays. Bitcoin did pull back quite a bit. It pulled back to 61K, I believe, earlier today. But I think it's just retracing. Not concerned about it. It is still very volatile. You have to understand that. One thing to understand, though, is it's been slowly grinding up. So if it continues to slowly grind up, that is good. I think it provides more stability in crypto if it does do that. If it starts making a parabolic move in just in one or 2 weeks, just FOMO straight to 100K, then at that point you should probably consider taking profits. That is not financial advice, but I'm just saying be prepared if that does happen. Being said, so as far as events, that's pretty much what we got. Again, we have earnings. We have Baba. We have Nvidia, Walmart, Target, HD, and SC. A lot of these are big ones I want to see, particularly Nvidia. I think is one of the biggest ones I want to see, and SE are my two big ones this week I want to see. Again, the event stablecoin watch. A lot of these are still got room to retrace. They haven't seen all-time highs in a while. So your Facebook started to make a good move today. On Friday, I'm looking for continuation on that. Rivian IPO came out this week. Option should be out, I think, on Tuesday. So ultimately, that's what I'm looking for. Rivian, I wanted to actually come down a little bit and then find some stability. Try to base a little bit, hopefully by then, and then we'll start looking at option contracts for that. UPST had a nice bounce today as well. Everything was bouncing nicely. Most things were bouncing nicely. UPST was one of them. Looking for continuation on that particular move. Coin, again, depending on what goes on with the stablecoin information, there might be more talks about regulations and stuff when that stablecoin discussion is being had. So I want to see what happens in the crypto space with that. Amazon, again, it's been very strong. Had a pretty hefty pullback towards the end of the week. I want to see if there's a continuation in that. Tesla is a big one to watch this week that I want to keep on watch because Elon's been selling. I think that the only reason Tesla's been selling as heavy as it is because of Elon, but it's been holding a strong base. And so I want to keep an eye on that one. And then you also have SQ and PayPal have been sitting at a really good support, looking for those to start reversing. So that's pretty much what I got from my list this week. And again, the general market is, again, very bullish. There's no true catalyst to sell. Everything is, again, very much pointed to the upside. We do have double rate raises, which is something they're considering next year because of inflation. That's why everybody was kind of hesitant at the beginning of the week because they wanted to see what core CPI said. Again, the market digested it very well, and the market liked it and is starting to push. We didn't really see much of a move on Thursday because the bond market was closed. And then, of course, on Friday, only some stuff is going to move. I think we're going to see more of a parabolic move with everything next week and start, now that some of these earnings are getting digested, we're going to start making some good runs here, I think, in the next coming weeks. And then going into that Christmas holiday, or the holidays in general, get that Christmas push. And then, yeah, so this is one of the most bullish times here. So we did have a bit of a pullback. Again, a lot of stuff was red, so I think we did get a good enough pullback. But we still have to be, I think, cautious. You still have to wear your cautious hat because if you look on the daily, again, on the SPY, it has just been absurd. And you want to be mindful of, again, the parabolic move we've had over the past several months, essentially since the end of September. We've been pretty crazy, but we did have a pretty healthy pullback the last couple days, which is good because of essentially the scare of the possibility of a new chair. Again, I think once that new chair is announced, if that is the possibility, if it's still going to be Powell, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I think that might actually bring more bullishness to the market. But if that new chair is announced, I could see some correcting at that point, which is probably why they may be hesitant to say anything till New Year. I think Powell has till February, so I think that announcement will come sometime in January. But being said, again, the first one I got here, again, is Facebook. Facebook on the daily still looks really good. We still wanted to hold this 338 mark. We don't really want it below this. It has been stalling out here pretty hard at the 345. So you can essentially play this range here. As long as if you can break above this, you definitely want to take calls above the. So you at 344 mark. If we can break above that, I think we can start making some bigger runs here. You get the 355. Again, once you break that, then we start hitting some of these other resistances. But I do believe this is very close to start making some all-time highs, especially since your ones like Tesla, Amazon, Google's have been running pretty hard. I think some of that money is going to be pulled out. And a lot of these ones have been kind of sitting stagnant for a while are going to start really pushing moving forward. So Tesla is another one I have on the daily. It doesn't look the greatest. You really want it to hold above this 1045. But ultimately, again, Elon has been selling a lot this week. But I believe after that particular selling, since he's sold so much, I think we're going to actually start turning here, and this is going to start ripping to the upside. It's been holding this. It's been bought quite aggressively after this 1K mark and been holding this base, essentially this 1022 mark, very well. Still has this wedge and has a lot of resistance here, but I'm actually thinking that we could possibly gap above this. And if you do find this above 1083 come Monday, which is a strong possibility, maybe people are okay now that Elon has sold his shares, whatever the case is. Maybe he has more selling, not quite sure, but if it does gap, I'd be prepared for this thing to start ripping again. Again, it took a massive crash because some of the selling that's been going on. And then you notice every morning it's kind of been just selling off a little bit here, a little bit there, but it's been picked right back up very quickly. So again, aside from crypto, Tesla has definitely been putting up some massive numbers over the past couple years. So it's always almost a pretty sure win for the most part. Another one I have is Rivian. Rivian new IPO. Again, new IPOs you definitely have to be careful with because you don't have enough real data to find zones or to find supply and demand zones. Essentially, I'm actually looking for this to do some sort of pullback come Monday, Tuesday. Looking for options at that point. Options should be available around that time. Should be enough volume to start displaying options. One thing you got to be careful about when the options just first get the option chain first gets loaded is that the chain and the premiums are going to be pretty messed up. So you're going to want to give it time when it first comes out. So you want to give it time to kind of stabilize, let the market maker kind of determine what's going to happen with that, and then go from that point. So. But that should come out around Tuesday. So Rivian, that's the biggest thing. Again, we don't have a lot of data, so you're just kind of feeling things out. But if we can get some good selling down, possibly even down to essentially around that 100 mark, which I don't think we're going to hit 100 on Rivian, but I think we could possibly get this down pretty low. Maybe, or if we get it around 107 would be great. I really don't know. These IPOs, they pump pretty hard and then they sell off the following week. And that's what I'm kind of looking for, some of the sell off, and then start looking at option contracts for this. UPST is one of them. Had a nice move today. So I captured a good chunk of this today. It's been basing really nice for the past 2 days. I got in, rode this all the way up with shares. Did end up selling towards the end of the day, hitting resistance here. Thinking kind of Monday we might get a pullback, or if we do hold above this, essentially 264, look to get back in this on the daily. On the daily, I think what we could possibly see is at least a push to the 295, 296 mark. Then you're going to start hitting some resistance. It's probably going to get rejected pretty hard the first time it hits. So kind of looking for that price target, and then once it hits that, definitely scale out, take profits, and then wait for it to break above some of this new resistance here, and then get back in for possibly all-time high runs. So that's one thing I want to keep on watch this week. Coin, again, in the daily, had a nice bounce off the always like playing first bounces, because when you have these parabolic pushes like this, and then your support is sitting here, this 20 EMA at 322. As soon as it hits it, that first bounce, you always get a good bounce off of it. So we do get that first good bounce. Again, Wednesday we have the talk about stable coins. I'm sure other conversations will be talked about around Wednesday when it comes to cryptocurrency. So I want to see if this starts to base here, or if this starts to breaking out, and carefully keep an eye on Bitcoin over the weekend, see what that does come on Monday as well. So I still very bullish on crypto in general, and being said, I'm still very bullish on coin because of that. The next one I do have is Amazon. The Amazon, nice little wedge break and pop. I really want to see where e-commerce goes. Amazon's ever since earnings has been kind of beaten down. Still got plenty of room, I think, to fill to go back to all-time highs, especially just being a parabolic move. I think is what we're going to get, and I think everything's going to go bullish. I don't think it's just going to be big tech. You'll get big tech first, and then everything is to follow. So you catch some of these massive parabolic moves in some of these bigger blue chip stocks. Especially that's why I like playing options in these big blue chip stocks, because you get your your couple 100% out of these moves, these parabolic moves, especially when you play just a little out of the money. I'm not talking something ridiculous out of the money, but that's why I draw these supply and demand zones, so I can kind of gauge essentially where, especially in the move, if you're looking on these price targets, right, and looking at these weekly moves, right? So next week you got 100-point move on Amazon, right? So if you get a 100-point move from here, right, you're looking at 630 essentially for next week, and you can put something out to try to capture that. So those are the kind of options I like to play. You get bigger movements. That's saying they'll hit. Again, you have to expect everything to go to zero when you're playing options, but that's what I look for. That's why I like Amazon for next week. SQ is one I do like for next week because it's been beaten down. PayPal is very similar to this. They both take a massive hit, but I still believe as far as fintech space and everything goes with finances, SQ and PayPal are fantastic. I do prefer SQ over PayPal, but then you also have a firm that's kind of playing in that same space now. But I think SQ is definitely with Jack Dorsey. I do really like Jack Dorsey. I like what he's doing over there at Square. So I think he's a very forward thinker and definitely thinks outside the box. So I think Square is definitely one to keep an eye on. And then PayPal, let me pull up PayPal. So it's also been very beaten down and under very strong support. And so these are two, again, I want to keep an eye on. I think they're going to reverse. Again, you got to 230 on PayPal and on Square. Again, you're going to have the first hard rejection off of old support. So you got to about 235 on Square from where it currently is sitting. But again, once it starts breaking above that, again, you're going to try to go back to all-time highs from that point. So if you've made it this far, remember to hit the like button and subscribe. And this week, primarily, I think we're going to be really bullish. So daily updates are really going to be what's going on. I think we're going to get some news, some price target upgrades and stuff this week. I think those are the biggest things to look for pre-market, is look for those upgrades, look for things that are starting to run pre-market, go with that, go with the strength. I think there's going to be some massive moves. You definitely want to be very mindful about what's moving in the blue chip stocks on pre-markets and the pre-market movers, and stay with the stocks you typically play. That's why I play a lot of the same stocks over and over and over. That's why I have a core list, because I play a lot of these over and over, and I always go over a lot of the same ones because you get very familiar with them, and making money should be boring. That's what makes you successful in this game. It's what made me successful in this game is being boring and playing the same stuff, because you know how it works, you know how the options work, and you're very familiar and very comfortable with it. Keep your circle of trust very tight and focus, and you realize that the gains will start showing up when you play the same things over and you are not chasing different momentum around the block. So that's what I got for you guys. Hit the like button, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.